Red Bull's 7-year struggle to find a driver worthy of sharing a garage with Max Verstappen has taken a stunning twist. Because tonight, Helmut Marko has admitted something that completely rewrites the last decade of Formula One. Lando Norris was almost a Red Bull driver, not McLaren, not the smiling orange poster boy we see today, but a weapon in Red Bull blue lined up right next to Max Verstappen and possibly ending the teammate crisis before it ever began. And Marko isn't just hinting, he's revealing the exact moment Red Bull lost him and why that decision might haunt them forever. Because according to him, there was a contract, signed, drafted, ready. Lando Norris was this close to replacing Daniel Ricciardo's legacy in the Red Bull system. And if that had happened, everything from 2019 to 2025 would look completely different. But Red Bull didn't get him, McLaren snatched him away. And the fallout has been catastrophic. Let's break down why Marko's shocking confession has sent tremors through the paddock, and why Red Bull may have finally realized the mistake that cost them years of stability, championships, and millions in development. For 7 years, Red Bull have tried and failed to find someone who can survive the Verstappen effect. Sergio Perez came the closest. 2 constructors' titles, a handful of clutch drives, a solid public face. But when Red Bull's era of dominance finally cracked last season, Perez collapsed. He didn't just lose form, he sank. So badly that Red Bull did something they almost never do mid-cycle. They terminated his contract. The team trusted him as the ultimate wingman, and then watched him slide into midfield like a second-rate rookie. The embarrassment was so big that Red Bull pulled the trigger immediately. Since then, nothing but chaos. Liam Lawson survived just 2 races. Yuki Tsunoda, fiery, talented, but inconsistent, is already expected to lose his seat at the end of the season. Tsunoda is now the 5th driver to partner Max Verstappen since Ricciardo walked away in 2018. 5 attempts, 5 failures. And tonight, Marko has revealed why none of them fit the puzzle. Because according to him, the driver who would have solved this entire crisis was Lando Norris. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't casual interest. Marko admits that Red Bull were in serious negotiations with Lando Norris years ago, at a time when he was still in the junior ladder and the perfect age to mold into Verstappen's teammate. Marko literally says, "We were at a very early stage in negotiations with Lando Norris. In the end, we didn't get him, but I think he would have fitted very well to us." Astonishing. A man who rarely praises other drivers is openly admitting that Norris was the one that got away. And Red Bull had a contract ready. A full official Toro Rosso deal, signed and stamped, ready for Lando to step into the Red Bull empire. But McLaren swooped in, faster, smarter, more prepared. They promoted him directly from their academy to Formula One before Red Bull could finalize the deal. This wasn't luck, this was strategy. McLaren knew Red Bull saw something extraordinary in Norris, and they didn't hesitate. From that moment, everything changed. Marko is brutally honest. Norris would have fit Red Bull very well. Translation, he had the natural rawness, aggression, and adaptability that Red Bull's philosophy demands, the same energy Verstappen arrived with in 2015. Not polished, not overcoached, not sensitive, just fast, relentless, unpredictably gifted. And proving Marko right, Norris has spent the last 4 seasons outperforming massive names: Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri, 3 elite teammates, 3 convincing victories. Norris is now a race winner 11 times over, coming off a Brazil victory and pushing himself directly into World Championship contention. Marko knows it. The paddock knows it. Even Verstappen knows Norris is one of the few drivers capable of pushing him, genuinely. So what does Red Bull do now? They keep searching, keep testing, keep hoping. Because without Norris, they entered a storm they still can't escape. But Marko didn't stop at praising Norris. He fired back at Sergio Perez. Perez recently said, "No driver could cope alongside Verstappen, not even Hamilton or Leclerc, because the car is built around Max." A sharp defensive statement, and one that conveniently places the blame on the car, not the driver. Marko disagrees, strongly. His answer? Verstappen's feel is what makes the difference. Meaning, The car responds to Max because of who Max is, not the other way around. Marko is drawing a line here. He's saying Red Bull isn't crafting magic machinery, only for Max. They're exposing that second drivers often lack the natural sensitivity, precision, or instinct Max possesses. In other words, it's not the car, it's the driver. This blows apart Perez's entire claim. And it directly explains why Norris would have thrived. Natural car feel, ultra-precision under pressure. Similar instinct-driven feedback style, adaptability across conditions, brave wheel-to-wheel aggression. Norris is the one driver Marko believes could have broken the Verstappen gap curse, and Red Bull let him slip away. Tsunoda is almost certainly out. Lawson didn't make the cut. Perez is gone. So Red Bull is returning to the same philosophy that created Verstappen. Promote from within. Enter Isaac Hadjar, the French prodigy whom Marko is now hyping as the next big thing. He's compared him to Ayrton Senna. Let that sink in. Marko doesn't make statements like that lightly, ever. Hadjar has been rising fast, shocking the Red Bull program with raw speed and a fearless attitude. Marko believes he may be the driver who breaks the second driver curse. But let's be honest, comparisons to Senna? Replacing Verstappen's teammate curse? That's pressure on a level few rookies in F1 history have ever faced. Hadjar could succeed, or he could become the next victim of the Verstappen era. Because no matter what anyone says, partnering Max Verstappen is still the hardest job in Formula One. So why does Norris matter now? Because the timing is brutal. Norris is now a Grand Prix winner 11 times. He's driving the best McLaren package in a decade. He's in title contention, he's entering his peak years. And Red Bull, they're facing Verstappen's uncertain long-term loyalty. A broken second driver pipeline, internal fractures, a shrinking performance gap, rising competition from McLaren and Mercedes. This is the worst moment for Red Bull to realize they could have signed the one driver capable of stabilizing everything. Norris would have been the perfect future-proof solution. Fast enough to challenge Verstappen, consistent enough to deliver points, emotionally stable enough to handle pressure. Young enough to build around, marketable enough to replace Ricciardo's star power. But now, he's untouchable. McLaren will never release him. Zak Brown will never allow it. Even Lando himself has made it clear he wants to win with McLaren, not as Verstappen's number 2. Red Bull missed their chance, and Marko knows it. Between every line Marko spoke, there's a hidden truth he will never admit publicly. Red Bull regret losing Lando Norris. Because imagine the alternate timeline. 2019. Norris joins Toro Rosso 2020. Norris promoted to Red Bull 2021 to 2024. Norris plus Verstappen era. Stable lineup, zero second driver drama. Seamless feedback development. Two-pronged championship threat. No need for Perez, Albon, Gasly, Tsunoda, or Lawson rotation. Red Bull could have had the strongest pairing on the grid for nearly a decade. Instead, they built a dynasty around one driver while the second seat became a graveyard. Norris is locked into McLaren. He's loyal to the team that gave him a childhood dream, and he's too big now to play second fiddle. But for Red Bull's crisis? No, the problem isn't over. It's only beginning. Perez is gone. Tsunoda is gone. Lawson is out. Hadjar is a gamble. And Verstappen's future after 2026 is far from guaranteed. Red Bull's second driver curse has shaped their entire modern era. And the one driver who could have changed it, the one driver Marko admits was perfect for them, now leads McLaren's championship charge. So here's the brutal, haunting conclusion of Marko's confession. Red Bull didn't just lose a driver, they lost stability. They lost balance. They lost the one teammate who could have rewritten history beside Max Verstappen. And now, as Norris rises and Red Bull struggles to hold on to their empire, the question practically asks itself, what hurts more, losing a driver, or realizing he was the solution all along? Before you click away, tell me this in the comments. Would Lando Norris have beaten Max Verstappen if he joined Red Bull? Yes or no, and why?